Church, we are going to respond to the gospel. And the way we're going to respond today is to take a moment and to think and remember. You see, if you're anything like me, life gets so busy and crazy and things begin to happen and kids are yelling and work is going crazy and the Jags traded someone away and you get so wrapped up in all this other stuff that we forget why we even gather together. We forget what this whole thing is about. We just forget. And this time, we're going to take just a few moments and remember the gospel. And remember what Jesus has done for us and why we gather, that he came and he lived the perfect life on our behalf. He died in our place. He rose again 3 days later, conquering sin and death, adopting us into his family and covering us with the righteousness of Christ. We would call this the gospel. It is what Jesus has accomplished. So the night Jesus was betrayed, he took the disciples up into an upper room, and he took some bread. And we're going to celebrate communion together, where this bread represents his body. And at the end of every row, there is a basket, and there's going to be some elements in that basket. So if you pass it down, you'll take a piece of bread and a cup. And this bread represents his body, but not just his body. This represents him, that he came, he lived the perfect life so that he could be the sacrifice that matters. And then he takes this perfect life, and it says he took it and he broke it. This represents the broken life of Jesus, that he went to the cross and his life was literally broken for you. He was nailed to a tree and crucified in our place. And it says, he said, take this and eat it. And do this in remembrance of me. And then it says after the meal that he took the cup. And this cup, he said, is a new covenant. You see, there was an old covenant. If you ever hear the term testament, it means covenant. There was an Old Testament and a New Testament. There was an old covenant and a new covenant. The old covenant was a covenant of law where they had to work to earn God's approval. And now there is a new covenant, one of grace, one of which you could not earn and you do not deserve, that he did it all for you. And we know that God demonstrated his love for us, and while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That his blood was shed because he loves us. And now this new covenant of grace is offered up freely. Every time you take this and you drink it, remember that he has accomplished everything for you. Let's take and drink. It says in 1 Corinthians that every time we gather together and we partake in communion, it is remembering the death, but is also proclaiming that he is to come in the future. And now we are going to continue responding together by worshiping in hopeful expectation for a future and a hope that we have in our Savior and meeting him face to face one day. So if you would you stand with me and let's join our voices together and sing praises to him who has rescued us.